Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Peyton's Flowers. Plants shipment today. So it's so exciting. We were going to do an unboxing, but it was a little bit too cold. So we wanted everything to breathe a little bit before we showed you. And now everything is looking phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
So we had to wait a little bit because our temperatures here in Newfoundland were so cold that we couldn't order anything to be shipped for the last couple of weeks. So our plant level was very low, and not anymore. We have a lot. So Jeffrey's here with us today, and he knows way more about plants than I do. So he's going to explain all these things to you. So, what's the first thing we got here?
We got Spedophyllum warnecki, otherwise known as peace lily. We have it in a few sizes here, small in a 4-inch plant. Then we move up into a 6-inch plant, right up into, I believe, a 10-inch plant pot, I believe, or 8-inch pot. The cool thing about this is it's probably one of the most dramatic plants, so pretty easy to take care of. It likes bright to indirect light, doesn't really like to be right in the sun or right in a cold window, but a bright indirect light lit room would be great. The flowers on it are pretty cool too. They're like little cups. I'll show you a close up there. And as it gets bigger, those flowers get bigger and bigger. So by the time you get up into the 8-inch plant, the flowers can be almost as big as your hand. It's a really interesting sort of flower, and it is the most dramatic plant out there. I say when it needs to be watered, it really droops. All the leaves really droop down and show you that it needs some care. So it's pretty easy to take care of.
Yeah, it really lets you know when it needs a drink. And it does drink a lot of water. You have to water it quite readily. And these are like any flowers. I always say to people, you have to think about it like flowers in your garden. If you have a petunia, the petunia is going to bloom, it's going to spend a couple of days with you, and then it's going to die off, and the next one's going to do the same thing. And that's the same thing with this peace lily. These white blooms are going to open and be beautiful for a little bit, and then they're going to die off, and the plant is just going to shoot up another one again. So we're back, and we saw the peace lilies, and now these are mixed tropicals. So these are our top selling plants. They are starter size in a 4-inch pot, and they're fantastic gifts. Anyway, Jeffrey can tell you all about them. I don't know a lot again. But he knows way more than me, so.
Most of them start in around $12.99, so it's a great sort of introductory gift to somebody who's opening an office or a new apartment, or really for anything at all. Polka dot plants. Polka dot plant is a hypothesis. I'm probably saying that wrong. It's a really nice, cute little plant, easy to take care of. Pink and white polka dotty petals, I guess they are, with a kind of a green and white underside to them. We've also got peperomias, which is a type of a rubber plant. Peperomia obtusifolia. This here will have interesting little flowers. It doesn't really have a flower. It has more of a little sausage flower that sticks up in the air.
And rubber plants are some of the easiest to take care of. They grow nice and tall and full, and always keep that shine on the leaf, so it doesn't get dusty looking and old and drab looking. It always keeps that nice shine. And it's easy. It's an easy plant.
Typically anything with a rubbery, heavier leaf is a little easier to take care of. You can keep that in mind. Anything with a delicate, light leaf can sometimes be a little more dramatic, like our China doll here. China doll, this can actually tree up in a larger 10-inch pot. You could probably get about 3 feet tall with this one, which is pretty cool if you want to watch something grow.
And back to the rubber plant, anything that has that thick and meaty leaf like that is also really good for, not good for, but safer for your animals. Anybody who's scared of cats or dogs eating your plants, the heavier, the thicker the leaf, the more they stay away from them. So that's a good one for pet owners.
Unlike the Bella Palm, anything that has kind of a dental floss-like leaf, your cats are going to go wild for. So not necessarily everything like this is poisonous, and most plants that are on the poisonous spectrum for cats and dogs and such, they'd have to eat like the whole plant really to make them sick. So of course there are things that you want to stay away from. This is one that we won't have at home with our cats because they'll just go nuts for it. What else do we have on here? Little Scheffleras, otherwise known as an umbrella plant. They have kind of a leaf with, I think, 6 or 7 little points on it. They look like an umbrella that's open. That's what they're reminiscent of.
And these are variegated. So variegation means that they are two-toned leaves. So this one in particular is a variegated species. So cute.
few different Dracaenas here. We've got Dracaena warnecki with the white and green variegated leaf. And then I think this one is lemon lime. Lemon lime's a beautiful one. We've actually got a fuller, large size. We'll show you in a little bit of this as well to see how it grows. This is an interesting one that will tree up. As it gets older, the leaves on the bottom will fall off and it'll develop sort of a little bit of a trunk and stand up taller. Crotons. Crotons are one of my favorite, but they are a little harder to take care of. They do like partial sun to full sun, I believe. If they're in the brighter sun, these colored leaves will be more vibrant. Otherwise, it will grow in a little more of the green and yellow sort of color. It's pretty interesting. What else do we have on here? Pretty dramatic as well, yeah.
It's dramatic in the sense that it will tell you when it's thirsty and you'll know that it needs a drink.
We have another Dracaena here as well, so they do come in quite a few different varieties, as we saw earlier. So I think rather than say much about them, because I don't really know a lot about them, we're just going to show you. So maybe Dwayne, you want to carry that tray over there? Some really cool ones there.
Cactus or cacti. What does cacti mean? What's the difference? Is that plural?
Plural.
That's plural. So we have cacti. Interesting. This one here on the end is quite full and beautiful. It's a little bit floppy. I don't know if that is still from the travel, if that will stiffen up or not, or if that's just the species. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful plants. They also look great in bowls together, so you can group 4 or 5 different cactus or cacti in a bowl and then cover the space around with moss. That's a great one as well.
This is a really cool one. These are interesting. They vine down. They're perfect in a hanging basket like this, but they'd be just as suited in a normal pot. This is called Tradescantia. Tradescantia comes in a whole bunch of different varieties. This one here is called Wandering Dude. It had another name, but this is the proper one right now, Wandering Dude. And right here we have Moses in a boat or Moses in a cradle. This will get little tiny white clusters of flowers that are reminiscent of, I guess, Moses wrapped in swaddling clothes way back when. That's what those two are.
Really, really fast growing plants. These can triple in size in 6 months, no problem at all. As long as you give them adequate sun, lots of water, they grow really, really quickly.
And easy to propagate. That one can kind of get out of control. The vines will get all gnarly and long, but if you cut them off and remove the bottom leaves and pop them in a glass of water in the windowsill, they'll go roots within about a week or two, and you can put them in another pot. Here we have another Dracaena. This is the lemon lime we showed you earlier in a smaller size. Beautiful plant. We've got 2 of these on our coffee table. Now I will say the cats like them from time to time, but only when they want our attention. They don't really bother them more than anything else, except when they want us to pay attention to them and they like to chew on the tips. So, what do we have here? Another Dracaena. Not sure what type this is, but you can see that it is starting to tree up here. As the bottom leaves fall off, it almost gets like trunks, right? This looks like what's almost going to be like a bamboo shoot sort of style. Coffee plant. Don't know if you're ever going to get coffee plants from it. Coffee beans, rather. This is a coffee plant, Arabica. Pretty cool. And in a 10-inch plot, this too could probably be about 3 or 4 feet tall because it is a tree. This is a rubber plant or a ficus. This is burgundy, I believe it is. Comes in a nice dark red ruby leaf. Those will come in. They come in curled. They'll open up, super shiny, beautiful plant. All right, we have Dieffenbachia. Dieffenbachia also Chinese emerald or Chinese foliage. Yeah, Jen says. She knows a lot about plants as well. We kind of all learn together here. And don't ever be afraid. Of course, I might be saying some things wrong, but plants are just fun.
Don't quote us on anything. We don't really know. Especially me. These 2 learn a lot. I'm a little bit hard to learn.
Humidity and
A lot of humidity.
A lot of humidity. And we're also getting baby plugs of this. So we are going to grow these from babies in our greenhouse this coming summer. So we're going to have an abundance of them and they're going to be fantastic. Look at that plant. That is beautiful.
Ooh, this is one of my favorites. The type of a croton, I can't remember, is it golden dust? Golden dust, see? Yeah, there's always a Latin name for everything, and plants usually have a few names, but this is super cool. Crotons are pretty dramatic as well. If you neglect them, the leaves will fall off and they don't grow back, so you kind of have to really be on top of them. Ooh, Sansevierias, snake plants, otherwise known as mother-in-law's tongue. As it grows, this one will actually have pups that shoot out, which you could break this pot open. It's actually ready to be repotted. If you can see, it's kind of like puffing out there. So you can put this in a larger pot and it'll just get more full, or you can break off these babies and they basically propagate them and make new plants out of them. I always prefer to leave them together, that way you get a fuller plant in the end. String of pearls. This is a very cool one. This will vine down, get very, very long. You can see the little pearls. It has interesting little flowers, which are kind of on their last legs here. They're just like little dandelion sort of flowers that pop out. Easy to propagate, snip it off, pop it in a glass of water, remove the bottom pearls, and it'll root out, and you can make new plant out of it. Another variety of the same, this I believe is a string of tears. You can see they're very healthy, the new shoots coming up there.
And the string of pearls, we only got one, but we do have 3 of the string of tears. So these are always one of our top sellers. So get in here and get it if you want it, because it'll sell fast.
This is a pothos here, not really sure of the variety. There's a lot of different types of pothos. This is a vining plant. My mom and grandmother used to have this one creeping around the whole kitchen. It will get these air roots here, which you could cut that off and pop that in a glass of water, and it will continue to root and make a whole new plant. But I always like to kind of leave them to let them get long. They'll vine down beautifully. Ribbon fern. So I guess they look like ribbons. Peperomia. Always likes a little peperomia. These are the flowers. So these are those sausage-like flowers I was talking about earlier. Very unusual, the nice purple bottom to them. Everybody knows the Boston fern. They're pretty beautiful, but they do not last very long. They require a lot of humidity. This button fern does as well, but it does have a meteor leaf to it, which makes it a little easier to take care of. And these cute sort of little button-shaped leaves on it. I think that's one of the easier ferns to take care of. What do we have here? This is a spider plant. I've never seen this. It's a variety of a spider plant. It's a very wide, meaty, variegated leaf, more unusual than the typical spider plant you see. And this will get those typical classic vines that hang down with little babies on the end that you can repot. Classic ivy, is it? Yep, classic ivy. See that vining down? Great hanging plants. So we have, of course, they all come, any of our hanging plants, of course, come in their own hanging pot, most of which have the draining pot on the bottom, but we do have other hanging pots in store that you can kind of buy to spruce them up. We showed you earlier the baby burgundy ficus. This is really what it can become. So that's about, let's say about 2 feet tall. Big, giant leaves, bigger than my hand.
It's a beautiful, beautiful plant. It's strong and hardy. It's going to look healthy for you all the time. And it's just going to be one of those long-lasting decor pieces. You can put this in a corner in your living room, and it's just gonna fill up that space and make everything look fresh and beautiful. It's also going to, it's a really good source of oxygen in your room. Plants are so good for oxygen. They're gonna just light up your room and make it feel so much healthier in there for you. So this again is the Ficus burgundy. It is beautiful. We also have it in a variegated version, which I will show you as well.
Italy figs are a cool one if you like to watch them grow. This is the larger version, and these leaves are huge. Like, that's nearly as big as my head. And they will get even larger. You can see down on the bottom here, monstrous leaves. You want to turn that for them? Okay. And it starts out small. It's a nice one if you want to watch something grow. It's fairly slow growing, but this is a baby one we have in shop here. This one in its pot is $24.99. Cute little face there. So those leaves will get just as large as this. It does like to be misted pretty much every day or be in a humid environment, or you're going to end up having leaves drop.
Really stunning plant. If you watch a lot of TV, we watch a lot of TV. I don't know about you guys, but these are always parts of sets in the background of people's houses, especially affluent people with lots of money who are on TV. They always seem to have these in the background. It's a great background plant. It's a great, again, like the burgundy, it's a good home decor piece. So it's great for in the corner, on a side table. It's just going to add that height and that green that every room should have, that little touch of green in.
And if anybody's nervous about having plants, especially in offices and stuff, sometimes that's a little harder for people to take care of because there might not be a plant person in the office, and if you have one in the house, in the shop rather. So this is a fake ficus. This is a fake, what was it called?
Fiddly fig.
Fiddly fig, just lost the word for a moment there. This is the fake fiddly fig. We've got a whole bunch of artificial plants in shop as well.
This is the variegated burgundy ficus that I was telling you about. It's probably not burgundy, right? If it's variegated. So, but it's the same plant, just a different species. Again, a beautiful decor piece. This is in a 10-inch pot. It's just going, it'll probably double its size in a year. So it's a fantastic plant. Spring is coming, you guys. Get your house all set up and beautiful for that sunshine. Because when the sun shines in, you want to see more than that dust, right? The dust and the sunshine. Me and the dust don't get along very well at all. Me and the plants get along a little bit better.
All right, we've got one of the Sansevierias. This is in, is that 10 inches?
That's 10 inches.
It's a 10-inch pot here. It does come with a pot cover, which is nice. You take it out and drain it. It likes to be fully watered all the way through. Probably once every couple of weeks, I believe. They're okay to let dry out. If you do let it dry out too much, unfortunately, you'll see these leaves, they'll curl, they'll spiral, and that tells you that it really needs to be watered. The unfortunate thing with it is when that happens, they do not uncurl. Easy to propagate. You could literally cut this leaf off, put it in water, and within usually about a month, it takes a little longer, it'll grow roots, and then a little pup will form, and you can replant it that way as well. So if ever a leaf snaps off, don't throw it away.
All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. That is pretty much it for our plant tour. This is one more thing that we got in. It's not quite the same as plants, but these are just spring bulbs. Easter's coming, and a little bit of color on your side table. Daffodils, we have crocuses, we have hyacinths and tulips. So a little bit of color adds to any room. So we have these are just cheap and cheerful. Again, they're bulbs, so they'll last for the Easter season and then die off. Not like your typical house plant, but they do add that little bit of color. We'll be getting a different shipment from a different company next week, so it won't be the same things. Everything will be different, but that'll be coming in next week. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week with another wreath for sure. And Facebook Live, I haven't forgotten about you. Thank you, and check out our YouTube. Please, please, please check out our YouTube. Our channel is growing and doing great, but we need you guys, our Facebook friends. We're not forgetting you. Bye.